everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you my favorites and my most used products of 2018. I have high-end and drugstore, also brushes. It's probably going to be a long video, so let's just get into it. So I'm going to start with primers. My most used primer of 2018 is the Professional by Benefit, because I use it quite a bit to cover up my pores right in this area and also in my forehead and on my chin a little bit, so basically my T-zone. So this is just like a travel size, and the big size is probably this big, and I can't tell how much I've used, but I'm probably only at half, and I bought this more than a year ago. So a little goes a long way with this. So for foundation, I don't really like wearing liquid foundation, even though today I am wearing foundation. I like powder foundation or just nothing at all. So my powder foundation I like to use is the Cover FX Pressed Mineral Foundation in the shade N10. And I just go in there with a brush and I kind of go in circular motions just to buff it onto my skin after when I've done primer. And I feel like it evened out my skin tone, and my freckles still show through, and it doesn't look too cakey on me. And since I have really oily skin, having something like a powder that is matte will definitely help control it. And I also don't like using liquid foundation on my neck, so if I'm going to be doing liquid foundation on my face, then I go in with this powder on my neck just to even things out. Also, this color matches me pretty good. A lot of foundations don't match me at all, so that's why I don't wear liquid foundations in the first place. But with this, it feels like nothing. It feels pretty weightless, and so that's why I really like it. But otherwise, for liquid foundations, I like the Maybelline Fit Me Matte and Poreless in the shade 110. And this matches me pretty good. It's still not an exact match. I like this though because it's matte and poreless like the name says. But to make this one work for my skin tone, I like to use the Body Shop Shade Adjusting Drops in the shade Lightning. This is like a miracle worker. It rescues me from having too dark a foundation, and I use this today. So it has this little squeezy pump tube thingamajig, and I really like the shade of it. It help matches all my foundations that I bought in the past that are way too dark for me. So you just make this in with your foundations on the back of your hand or dot it on your face, and just blend it in with your brush or beauty blender, and it will lighten the shade up without giving it a weird undertone or messing with the formula. I feel like this works really, really well, and it's really helped me use foundation more, or help me use foundations that are the lightest shade in the range, but just makes it a little bit lighter for my skin tone. So for concealer, I have two to show you, one high-end and one drugstore. My high-end option is Sephora Bright Future Gel Serum Concealer, and this has been my favorite for, I would say, at least 2 years now. I use the shade Buttercream, but I have used other shades in the past. I feel like this works really well with the powder I will show you next. And it has a doe foot applicator that's a little bit on a slant, and I feel like the texture of this is really nice. It's great on my under eyes, and I think I'm almost done this one once again. It blends out easily. It's not too matte and it's not too glowy, but I do set my concealer all the time. It does crease on me because I have pretty deep creases under my eyes. All concealers and powders crease on me, I feel like. This is one of the cheaper concealers at Sephora, and I really like it. I like the formula. I've been wearing it for a long time. It works great. And for drugstore, I like the Maybelline New York Master Conceal by Face Studio Camouflaging Concealer, and I use the shade 10 Fair. And this is surprising because when I first got this, I didn't like it at all. It didn't work with my undertones. It just looked too orangey or peachy on me. But maybe it's just recently, or my skin tone has changed a little bit. It started working on me. So it has a little squeezy tube. I just do a dollop on each under eye, and then I take my concealing brush and I blend it out, and then I just go in with my ring finger, and that's like your softest finger, and then I pat that all out, and then it looks really nice and smooth. I've used other concealers from the drugstore, and they're not that great. Like, this isn't as good as this, I feel like, but it's pretty good for the drugstore. I feel like it works fine on days where you just need to conceal and not really look 100% glam, because it doesn't cover up as much as this guy here, but it does cover up enough to, you know, pop in a brow and mascara and head out the door. So for face powders, my favorite is Rimmel London Stay Matte Long Lasting Press Powder, and it is in the shade Transparent 001. As you can tell, I've hit pan, and it's a deep pan. Oh man, is it deep. It has a little bit of a color in the pan, obviously, but This comes off really nicely. It doesn't deposit too much powder, and it doesn't deposit too little with my brush. I like this for underneath my eyes because it sets my concealer really nicely, and I do this to set my whole face as well. I don't see any color off of this guy. It is truly transparent. It's really nice and smooth. It controls my oils, and it's a great powder at the drugstore. So moving on to more face products. My favorite bronzer of 2018 is the Hulu Light by Benefit. This is such a perfect bronzer for my skin tone. I think I picked this up this year. I can't quite remember, but it's just the perfect color for really fair skin tones and most likely light skin tones as well. This is neutral light bronzer compared to their Hula Original. It's way lighter and it works great, as you can see right here. It does some nice shadowing. It's not too gray for like a contour, but it's just perfect for a nice shadow on really light skin tones. It blends out really nicely. It stays on for a really long time. Not a huge fan of this boxy packaging, but it's small, so it's not huge, but it is a little bulky. But you could depot it if you wanted to. I use this so much, I see a divot in the product, and yeah, it just works so great. I don't use that much blush. I only have 3 or so single blushes in my collection, but my favorite that I use the most is the Tartelette Amazonian Clay 12-Hour Blush in the shade Celebrated. This might be in a limited edition shade, I don't know for sure, but it's just a classic Tarte Amazonian Clay blushes. These are raved about formula, and I really like it. It's a matte blush, and it goes on my cheeks really nicely, and it's light enough to give me a pinky peachy blush on my cheeks, and it's not too dark, and it's really nice and smooth. It doesn't go on too pigmented or too light. I can dab in this 3 times, knock off my brush, and just go on my cheeks. And probably can't tell in the back of my hand, but it's really light. If you have a medium skin tone, it might look too light on you, but for us fair girls and boys, this is a really nice blush shade. For highlight, my favorite has been the Anastasia Beverly Hills Amrezy highlight. This has just come back, so I don't feel too bad about talking about this, but this was limited edition. I think I got this year, or was it last year? Maybe it was only last year. I don't know, but I love this highlight. It is like a gold champagne-y highlight, but it works for my skin tone, and it's very surprising. Like for example, Champagne Pop, it's a little bit leaning on the too dark side for my skin tone for a highlight, but this is perfect. This is so universal. There's like the deepest women using it and the lightest men using it. So it's so universal, and I don't feel like it gives me too much of a cast right here at all. The formula of it is so great. There's no fallout whatsoever when I dip my brush into here, and it goes on very nice and creamy. It does show my texture, but almost all highlights show my texture, and it just reflects so nice on the skin, and this is just a winner 100%. If you can get your hands on this, I say you should. Definitely should check this out. Like, the formula is so nice, and it's not overly powdery whatsoever. See, look at that. It can work on my skin tone, and it can work on the deepest skin tone. It's incredible how it works on most people, and it is so beautiful and like a creamy, not overly powdery formula, so it's just fantastic. Moving on to eyebrows, this is what I'm wearing today, and this is what I wear when I really want a sharp ass brow. This is the Ka-Brow by Benefit in the shade 3. I've had this for definitely more than 1 year, and it's really drying out. I should probably order another one, but the formula still works. I feel like it's a little bit crumbly, but with my eyebrow brush, I can get it into my eyebrows and shape them really nicely still, and they stay put, and they're kind of like a waterproof type of formula, I feel, and they give me a really nice sharp brow. But with this product, you get a little brush on the end, and it clips right in, so you don't need to buy an eyebrow brush if you don't have one. It lasts such a long time. Like I said, I've had this over a year. It's starting to dry out, but I still have so much product left. And it blends out with a spoolie brush as well, and it's not too pigmented right off the get-go like the Anastasia Dip Brow. Like that, you use a dab and you'll have enough to fill in 600 eyebrows, you know? Like, this is much more user-friendly, and it's more of like a drier consistency than like a really wet pomade. And I mostly use powders and kind of pomades in my brows, I guess, so I don't really have a brow pencil. But for brow gels, when I just want to fill in my brows quickly, because I kind of have fuller brows, or I want to make them more fuller. So my favorite brow gel is the L'Oreal Paris Brow Stylist Plumper Brow Gel Mascara in the shade Light to Medium 375. I really love this shade. It works great if I just wanted to get a lighter brow with nothing else in my brows. And it shaves my brows, it makes them stay put, and it really works well with my hair color. So if you can tell, this is more of a goldeny type of color compared to the pomade. So if I really want to lighten up my brows and also set them in place, I will use this one. And it kind of offers a little bit of a sheen, which I don't know how I feel about that. It shapes my brows and it makes them stay put and not too rock solid where like you feel like you're like this. Like they're not too hard and they feel soft. And using this over top of a pomade or a powder works great as well because it blends everything together and just shapes them up, and you can make them look fluffy. And the brush on here is nice and small, and it's not too small or too big. It has like a triangle type of shape. And I feel like this works great on my medium, I would say, size brows. And yeah, this is a fantastic gel from the drugstore. So moving on to eyes, I always start out with an eye primer. My most favorite one is the Smashbox 24-Hour Photo Finish Shadow Primer. It's just fantastic for oily eyelids. I know they have new ones out, but I have had this one for probably 3 years now, and I may be just starting to get halfway done. You only need the tiniest bit to cover an eyelid, and it doesn't have any color to it if you're looking for that. It's just translucent, and then you can put a powder on top and it will make your eyeshadows last all day. Fantastic. But just an honorable mention, I have used this all year and I think I'm almost out of it. This is the Urban Decay Eyeshadow Primer Potion in just Original. I've had one before this where it's a squeezy tube, and this is the one with the doe foot, but it goes on really nice and easy with the doe foot onto your eyes. This has actually worked pretty well on my oily eyelids. It just keeps shadows in place pretty well. Not as great as my Smashbox one, but definitely holds its own. So if you just have normal eyelids, this is a very hyped up one, and I agree. So for my most used eyeshadow palette, this is probably the hardest thing to decide on, but I have some honorable mentions. Urban Decay Naked Heat, I got this for Christmas last year, maybe. Fantastic warm eyeshadow palette. I use this for all my warm looks, as in today I'm using it. The mattes work great, they blend easily, they're so pigmented, and these metallic shades, they're great using your finger or using them wet. And yeah, this is just a great palette. I don't have anything really bad to say about it. Maybe a little bit of follow, but otherwise fantastic for any warm look. ABH Modern Renaissance, I used this quite a bit this year. A lot of these neutral shades right here, and some of these reds as well. I haven't used all the shades in the palette every single time, but just throwing one of these in my crease and maybe something metallic on my lid. Yeah, they do have a lot of fallout for sure, but they're so pigmented that, and this might be a little bit of a surprise to most people, like your most used palette is this, but it honestly is. This is the BH Cosmetics Take Me Back to Brazil 35 color pressed pigment palette. I have a review on this if you want to see me use it, and I also have multiple Halloween tutorials on this, so that's one of the biggest things. Like this guy's hitting pan, as well as some of these purples right here and a little bit of this green. And if I'm going for any color for eye look, I'm straight into this palette. I don't know, it's just a fantastic, matte, inexpensive, colorful palette, and I've just used it a ton this year. And this is technically a palette, but it's technically single shadows, so I just had to include it because I use this quite a bit. This is just the Tarte Magnetic palette. So sturdy, fantastic, huge mirror. So what I'm going to be talking about is these shades right here. These are my most used single magnetic shadows, but they're in a palette. I don't know, confusing. I use this almost every day in my crease. This is Makeup Geek Peach Smoothie. It's a fantastic crease shade or transition color for any light to medium skin tones. Then next, I usually go in with this shade right here. This is ColourPop Single Shadow in Note to Self. A fantastic kind of warmer medium light brown. Then I have ColourPop Top Notch Shadow. It's a little bit more of a red terracotta question mark brown, and it's another matte shade, and it works really great, kind of more in the deeper V of your eye. And then I have ABH Single Eyeshadow in Fudge. This is another kind of warm, neutral, deeper brown. I use this a lot on my outer corners of my eyes, just on the very edge there. Deepens everything up, and yeah, I just use these ones all the time for complementing either eyeshadow palettes or whatnot. So my favorite single eyeshadows are these two right here. This one is in my project pan, so this one I've used the most out of all my single eyeshadows is the ColourPop Super Shock Shadow in Get Lucky. It's just this neutral gold shade that is fantastic and so metallic and beautiful and blends quite easily. You can hear all about this guy in my project pan, so I won't spend too much time on it, but this has been my most used for sure. And this is my favorite single eyeshadow slash my most used as well. This is Stila Kitten eyeshadow, and it's just this pinky champagne, very metallic shade. I think you've all heard of Kitten by now, whether this shadow form of it or like a different metallic form of it, anything like that. This is like their biggest seller by Stila, and I use this almost like every day in my inner corner and sometimes on my brow bone as well. It just works with every eye look, using it in your inner corner to just brighten it up, and it's so metallic and beautiful. It really works with anything. It has a little bit of a pinky tone to go with my skin tone and not too gold where it looks too dark. And here's a swatch of it right here. See, it just looks so beautiful. I don't use this on my lid as much, but in my inner corner, it stays there 24/7. Like, I don't use single shadows all that often, but I always keep this guy around for my inner corner. So I don't have a favorite liquid eyeliner. I do use some of them, but I don't use liquid eyeliner all the time. So for eyeliner, my favorite and maybe my most used, I don't know about most used, but my favorite is my Urban Decay Heavy Metal Glitter Liner in Midnight Cowboy. I have this on my lower lash line today. This is awesome for using glitter. It already has like the mixing medium inside of here, so you just paint it on wherever you want it to make an eyeliner or all over the lid with this little tiny brush, and then you have your glitter on your lids. It dries down and then you have glitter stuck on and it stays there, and there's like no fallout at all. And this is just a fantastic gold neutral color that goes with a lot of other eye looks. They're awesome, so easy to use, and they don't spill or anything like that. You don't need any additional things, just this, and you can pop it on your eyes. For mascara, I don't have an exact favorite, but these ones stick out in my mind when I think about mascara this year. This is L'Oreal Voluminous Lash Paradise. So it's not a rubbery brush. It's like thick and then thin and then thicker again. And it gets all your lashes and it really makes them long and a little bit voluminous, but not lots of volume on me at least. I can't remember if there was any flaking with this or not, but this is a great mascara to try from the drugstore. Made my lashes look good. And this is one I go back to all the time. It doesn't give me as much volume as the Lash Paradise, but this is the Maybelline Lash Sensational Full Fan Effect, and I like this one quite a bit because the brush, you can easily get into the lashes really close to your tight line, and you can just wiggle and pull up. This gives you a lot of length, and then with the other side you can spread out your lashes and make them look not as clumpy or what have you. This doesn't give me like volume at all, but it really gives me lots of length. These are two I usually go back to. And moving on to these lips. For lip liner, I have the Essence lip liner in the shade In the Nude, number 11. I don't know if you can find this anymore, but it's so creamy and I'm almost out of it. And it's a perfect neutral nude shade that leans a little bit warm and a little bit cool depending on what you pair with it. But it's so nice and creamy, and it might be a little bit too creamy for some people, but I really like that to go all over the lips as well as outlining. And it's just so cheap and easy to use. It's a fantastic nude color. For lipstick, my favorite has been the Maybelline Daringly Nude Matte Lipstick. This is such a creamy matte lipstick. I have it on my lips today. It works fantastic with my skin tone. It's like the perfect kind of nude, and it's very creamy, and it's like a little bit rosy, a little bit brown, pretty warm neutral shade, and it's not too drying at all, and it stays on, and it's creamy. It looks way darker on camera. For liquid lipsticks, my most used are probably these two right here. This is the Too Faced Melted Matte Lipstick in the shade Child Star. This is something if I want a nude but more of a cool tone nude, I go for this one. It has a little bit of a weird scent, but the shade is nude with a little bit of mauve in it, but once it dries down, I feel it's like a cool nude. The doe foot is pretty small, so that works great on my lip shape. And I feel like it dries down, but it's not too drying. Like, I can wear pretty matte lips. I feel like it wears really nicely. It's a great shade on me. The other one from the drugstore is a Maybelline Super Stay Matte Ink Liquid Lipstick in the shade Loyalist. It might be deceiving because this outer packaging, but in real life it is not the same color that is in the tube. In here it is much darker, and so this doe foot is pointed, so it's like a tulip shape. This is more of a stickier formula. So once you put this lipstick on, don't smack your lips together because it can make it really sticky, so make sure it dries. So once you have it on, it wears for a really long time and it looks really nice on my lips. It does crease a little bit, but for the price I can deal with it. And it smells like a chocolatey vanilla. And here's a swatch of my ear. You can tell by swatching it, it's a little bit of a glossy, sticky formula, which is kind of different. But it's a nice pink, peachy, Kappa nude. So my favorite gloss of like all time, not just a favorite for this year, but I've been using it a lot this year. This is the Buxom Full On Lip Cream in the shade White Russian. A classic color. Goes with any lip color at all. And these have a little bit of a tingling sensation, so it's lip plumping. I don't know if it actually plumps my lips, I couldn't really tell, but I really love that cooling, minting feeling on my lips. Feels really great. It feels so nice and smooth. Not sticky in the least, but it sticks onto your lips for quite a while. But when I rub my lips together right now, it just feels nice and smooth. And this is just a perfect neutral color to go with any of your lip colors. It also has a great scent as well. So there is the color right there. It's like a see-through, transparent, pinky peach color. So lastly, for setting sprays, my Urban Decay De-Slick Makeup Setting Spray. As you can tell, it's in the old packaging since I've had it for so long. But this is the oil control version, and I feel like this works great. I love the spray on this. It holds my makeup well, whether I'm wearing foundation or not. And then I have a few brushes just to tell you guys about. And this is the BH Cosmetics number 12 brush. I have a review on all these brushes. And this is an angled, very nice and thin brush. I use this with my Benefit Ka-Brow. Works really great, shapes my eyebrows so fast and easy. For eyeshadow brushes, I always pick up the Morphe M433. I can't live without this. This works great in my crease. Some of the bristles do fall off, but I condition it every time I wash my brush. I blend out everything in my crease with this guy. I use it for all my shadows pretty much, just to blend them out. And for my lower lash line, my favorite bullet type of brush is the BH Cosmetics number 10 brush. It's really nice and small and dome-like, and it's so nice and soft. Blends it on really nicely, packs on the color, works nice and precise. For setting my under eyes, I use this every time. This is the e.l.f. Blush Brush. It's a paddle brush, and it's really nice and soft, and I love the taperedness to it up here and down the sides because I can go in and pack on the powder really nice and just set everything, and it's not too big and bulky, and it's nice and flat. This is the BH Cosmetics Studio Pro brush, and the number is 15. It's more of a tapered kind of paddle brush. So what I like to do is just go into my contour of my cheek and bronze everything up. It blends everything out really nicely, and it's very soft bristles, but you can also put on blush with it as well because it has that like flatter side. So that's everything that were my favorites for makeup this year in 2018. I hope I said some good points, but it's been a long time that I've been sitting here. But I hope you guys had a great 2018. I hope you have a great 2019, and I hope you're here in 2019 on my channel. But I hope you guys liked this video, and if you did, give me a thumbs up and subscribe down below, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!